countless studies implying that eating beef has a huge and probably negative impact on the environment. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization found that livestock was responsible for 14.5% of all anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions, cattle representing 65% of that figure. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration announced that the discovery of the world's largest oceanic dead zone, which is being credited to factory farming in that area. There's even a study saying that the agriculture industry contributes more to global extinctions than climate change itself. Also, researchers from Kenya, Australia, and Austria found that 30% of the world's farmable surface is used to grow food for livestock, which takes up 1/3 of our fresh water. And while 80% of farmland is used for livestock, one study found that it only contributes to 18% of food calories consumed in the world. In short, the world is an inefficient cosmos-hurtling farm that we all have to live on. And in fairness, we wouldn't be living on it if it weren't for all of those farms. But we also have to figure out how to not kill ourselves with all the, farms. Specifically, industrial and cattle farms that create a great deal of pollution. So in terms of fighting climate change and overpopulation, it makes sense that there are studies estimating that a reduction between 50 and 90% in our meat consumption is greatly needed. And the beef industry knows this. But much like the tobacco industry knew that their product was hurting people in the 50s, they're clearly trying to get ahead of this reality with blanket denials instead of finding a solution. And that's eventually going to drive us to a breaking point. Imagine if your parents not only let you eat candy for dinner, but actually encouraged you to do it. Imagine if they even established a 1985 law that funded research and promotion of candy, and then put out numerous ad campaigns telling you to eat candy for dinner. So imagine your parents are doing that. Then imagine 20 years later your doctor diagnosed you as pre-diabetic, and instead of, say, regulating your intake of candy, your parents went on TV deep-throating Butterfingers and claiming that doctors hate candy and want to take it all away, so you better eat more candy to show them who's who. And let's say you listen to your parents, and you keep eating that candy, and now you have full-blown diabetes. Congratulations. Guess what you can't eat at all anymore? Did you guess candy? Because it's candy. Or I guess I could have just said meat, which is also not great for you in large amounts, comparable to candy. But I'm already committed to this analogy, and there's no turning back. I'm sorry. But right now, we're pre-diabetic, and we can either cut down on the thing we love or find ourselves in a situation where we can't have any of it unless we want to die. And I'm pretty sure 70% of you watching don't want to die. So for a solution that equals not death, we need to stop listening to our parents. Not just one, but both of them. Even though one of the two clearly loves candy way more than the other. Way more than the other. Really loves that candy and just shovels it in there all the time, frighteningly often. He even started his own candy company, like a racist Willy Wonka, who was probably also racist against Oompa Loompas, who are orange, like people who called the president, who is once again a racist. We did it! We came back around. But while the GOP seems to have an almost fetishistic love of hamburgers right now, the beef industry is well embedded into our government despite very little direct contributions. The current head of the USDA is Sonny Perdue, who is the founder and still a partner in an agricultural trading company and is very popular with the farming industry. But even during the Clinton administration, the main office for the Food Safety and Inspection Service had both the American Meat Institute and the National Cattlemen's Association on speed dial, which was a phone thing that once existed in the 90s. You know who else loved the meat industry? This guy. Obama spent most of his presidency complying with the meat industry. The agriculture industry has been dictating our dietary recommendations for decades now, all based on very little science. And it makes sense because the government doesn't need to be coerced into promoting something that boosts our economy at what seemed like zero negative consequences. Only it totally has consequences, and they have chosen to ignore them. That headline is from 2015, by the way, when Obama was still in office. And this is where we hit the weirdest twist of the whole video. Because one of the few things helping to solve our beefy problem is not only consumerism, but the motherfucking Whopper. Specifically, the Impossible Whopper, currently being tested by Burger King, which is made of exactly zero meat despite tasting exactly like meat. The company teamed up with the meatless startup Impossible Foods after their market research found that 90% of people who buy plant-based fake meat aren't vegetarians, but rather carnivorous humans looking for a healthy alternative. And that's why you might have noticed that I've yet to mention the animal rights aspect of reducing meat consumption. Not that it isn't important to talk about, but rather that this isn't about an army of latte-sipping vegan Nazis making you suck off the supreme cow emperor of New Green America. We're not talking about taking away your hamburgers, but rather regulating how much meat we currently eat while finding a culinary equivalent, something the market is demanding, and anyone who's tried an Impossible Burger can tell you we're pretty damn close to. So sure, maybe one day they'll take away your hamburgers, but in a way that literally no one would notice thanks to a completely new industry replacing them. But for now, we at least have companies that are working on giving us a pretty good facsimile to help us both in terms of health and the environment. Not to mention that there are tons of other solutions being talked about that have nothing to do with replacing meat, but rather changing farming practices in order to heal the environment. A good thing. We're looking at this early and still have options. There's a recent study published in the journal Nature that showcased a range of ways we can course correct depending on the severity of need. Called the Great Food Transformation, the spectrum outlined everything from changes in technology all the way to eliminating consumer choice, that latter being something we could avoid if we come at this with a cool head. Or we can all be a bunch of little Tucko Carl bums about it.
Listen, we gotta address factory farming. Maybe we shouldn't be eating a hamburger for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, let's keep it real.
Slow down.
Let's keep it real. Maybe we shouldn't be eating hamburgers. I mean, it's wild. Or driving cars or using appliances or having a middle class.
Yeah. How dare that horrible woman suggest we maybe not eat hamburgers 3 times a day and by extension try to destroy the entire middle class is clearly what she was saying there. Thanks, Tucker. You're fucking terrible. Oh, and also, she once ate a hamburger. So how can we even trust anything she says about how we should probably cut down on meat? And this is going to be the big, stupid problem. We have a group of serious people attempting to address meat consumption in the US, and the GOP is ready to sell that as a war on hamburgers. Several agricultural heavy states are already pushing back from the semantics of vegetarian food labels, often with bipartisan support because the meat industry knows what's coming and is fighting back. This includes a Nebraska bill banning vegetarian products from using the word meat, as introduced by a state senator named Carol Blood, which, while technically unrelated, is just something I needed to share. I really hate to be the one to tell you this, but as companies like Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat keep meeting consumer demands, we're going to see a bunch of insufferable neckties talking more and more about a war on hamburgers. Then we're going to see a bunch of media sites report on it like it's a real thing, and the cycle will keep going until we're either forced to eliminate meat altogether and resort to eating rat burgers with Dennis Leary, or just let the planet die, which is something at least 70% of you probably don't want. But if we all, from every political side, ignore this as the bogus and corporate-funded hysteria that it will be, maybe we can get ahead of this issue and address it like adults. Adults who, if we desire, can eat something we can at least pretend we hunted and murdered like the dirty animals we all are. In here. Have a joy day. Smile. Hey, what do you want? Thanks for watching that video. Make sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment if you're nice about it, and check out patreon.com/somemore news if you want to support our show. Also, listen to our podcast, Even More News. Also,